Welcome to today's Lifestyle Explainer. Come on in, take a seat right here in my virtual office, and just think of me as your personal nutritionist for our time together today. You know, whenever we bring up the words weight loss, it always sparks a massive debate. But today, we're tossing the debates out the window. Instead, we're going to do a comprehensive, clinical lifestyle audit of your daily habits. We're getting out the magnifying glass to look at the hidden saboteurs in your routine just to see exactly what might be keeping that weight on and preventing you from reaching your goals.
Okay, let's dive into this. It's incredibly frustrating, right? I mean, everyone seems to have their own favorite method, their own absolute miracle diet, but unfortunately for most of us, the whole process just feels exactly like a yo-yo. The weight goes down, and bam, it goes right back up. Listen, as your nutritionist, I hear this frustration literally all the time. But here's the clinical truth. We really need to shift our focus away from arguing about which trendy diet is best. We've got to look at the foundation. It's time to correct those sneaky bad habits that are silently working against you every single day.
So, consider this your official treatment plan for today's session. We're going to walk through a typical day, starting with your morning routine traps, then we'll look at the midday slump saboteurs, some hidden dietary culprits, and finally, we'll wrap up with nighttime weight gain triggers.
All right, part one, your morning routine traps. Let's look at how you're starting the day. Let's diagnose our first major issue, habit number 7 from our audit, skipping breakfast. Look, I know exactly how it happens. You're rushing out the door, scrambling to get to work or school, and you just skip it entirely. But clinically speaking, this is an absolute disaster for your weight. Most healthcare professionals agree that breakfast truly is the most important meal of the day. And why is that? Because the food you consume in the morning literally activates your metabolism. It's like flipping a switch. Once that metabolic switch is turned on in the morning, it tends to stay powered up all day long. Without activating that engine first thing, burning calories later in the day becomes, well, nearly impossible.
So I'm writing you a strict breakfast prescription right now. To flip that metabolic switch effectively, your first meal of the day absolutely must include 3 things: proteins, a little bit of healthy fat, and combined complex carbohydrates. Make no mistake, this isn't just a gentle suggestion. This is the clinical baseline for getting your body's calorie-burning engine running properly from the very second you wake up.
And while we're still looking at your morning and honestly throughout your whole day, we've got to address habit number 9, not consuming enough liquids. Your kidneys and other vital organs have a terrible time functioning when they're deprived of water. Toxins literally begin to accumulate in your system. Experts suggest drinking at least 2 liters of water daily to stay hydrated, which leads to way better elimination of waste and prevents excess fluid buildup. But we also have to look at what you're drinking. Water, tea, or natural juices are fantastic, but those carbonated beverages? Yeah, those are not a good source of fluid. Thanks to their extremely high sugar levels, they'll just lead directly to weight gain.
Let's move on and see how this builds in part 2, the midday slump saboteurs.
This brings us right into your workday and habit number 4, stress and anxiety. Let me completely validate what you're experiencing here. These two can be your absolute worst enemies. Not only do they disrupt your quality of life, but they actively increase your weight. See, when we feel stressed, we get hit with what's called emotional hunger. Our immediate urge is to just relieve all that distress by reaching for sweets or junk food. It's a biological response. But my clinical advice to you is this: when that emotional hunger hits, just pause. If you feel you absolutely must eat, my prescription is to first have a piece of fruit along with some water or tea, way before you even consider giving in to the junk food.
Now, compounding that midday stress is habit number 5, eating way too quickly. We are definitely a generation always in a hurry, aren't we? We're a mobile society, eating on the run, and we rarely take the time to properly chew our food. But let's look at the biology here. It generally takes your body a full 20 minutes to actually register that it's satisfied and full, provided you're chewing each bite slowly. If you're just rushing through a meal in 5 or 10 minutes, you're going to overeat. It's guaranteed, simply because your brain hasn't had the time to catch up with your stomach.
And while you're rushing through that lunch, you're probably sitting at a desk, right? That's habit number 6, being sedentary. Now, if we lived in the Wild West, riding horses and walking everywhere, we probably wouldn't fall victim to this. But today, the sedentary lifestyle is a massive driver of the global obesity epidemic. The clinical reality is actually pretty simple. When we sit, we eat. And because we're idle, that fat just begins to creep directly around our midsections. The worst part? Once that happens, we lose our motivation and become even less eager to do any physical activity. It's a total vicious cycle. Make it a concrete goal to avoid too much idleness.
All right, moving into part 3, let's look closely at some hidden dietary culprits.
Let's diagnose habit number 8, Excessive salt. An accumulation of salt is obviously terrible for weight management, but the clinical issue goes much deeper than that. It causes severe fluid retention, and when you have too much fluid built up in your system, it has a highly negative impact on your blood pressure. So if it's flavor you're desperately looking for, you really need to find other ways to spice up your meals, because relying on salt, it's quietly sabotaging both your cardiovascular health and the scale.
Now get ready for a staggering statistic regarding habit number 3, eating while distracted. After a long day, flopping down on the couch to watch TV or jumping on your laptop feels incredibly relaxing, doesn't it? But before long, you might start snacking without paying a single bit of attention to what you're actually putting in your mouth. Get this, the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition conducted a study showing that these distractions result in a person eating 50% more calories, half again as much, just because you weren't looking at your plate. My advice, next time you sit down with your laptop or TV, make absolutely sure that snacks don't mysteriously join you.
Finally, part 4. Let's bring this audit to a close by examining your nighttime weight gain triggers.
Let's confront habit number 1, eating before going to bed. Let's be totally honest here. We mostly eat late at night strictly because it's a habit, not because we're genuinely biologically hungry. If I asked you to keep track of everything you ate at bedtime for just 1 week, I guarantee we'd see a glaring pattern. You're probably consuming something very sweet and very high in calories. So, just like with daytime stress, my prescription here is super simple. If you feel you absolutely must eat something before hitting the pillow, consciously select a piece of fruit.
And speaking of hitting the pillow, habit number 2 is sleeping poorly. Keeping a set sleep schedule is absolutely vital because it significantly enhances your sleep quality. If you don't have a set time to go to bed, your body's entire internal chemistry gets thrown completely out of sync. And this isn't just about feeling groggy the next day. This lack of routine creates legitimate, clinical hormonal imbalances within your system.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how those hormonal imbalances actually manifest. As our source material states so perfectly, poor sleep tricks you into believing you will only be satisfied if you eat. It's biological trickery. Your body is exhausted, its chemistry is confused, and so it sends false hunger signals to your brain, practically begging for quick energy. You aren't lacking food, you're lacking sleep, but that trickery makes you reach for the pantry anyway.
So, there you have it. We've officially completed your clinical lifestyle audit. We've looked at the morning metabolism switch, the midday stress and sedentary traps, hidden culprits like salt and distraction, and the hormonal tricks played by poor sleep and late-night snacking. The ball is now firmly in your court. As your nutritionist, I'm going to leave you with this final, empowering question. Which of these 9 habits are you going to commit to changing today? You've got the treatment plan, you understand the biology, now it's time to take action and finally get off that yo-yo for good.